Yep, we at it again, doing some reaction. I do have some concerns for not recommending Ubuntu, and I will see what his viewpoints is of why he's doing it or not doing it anymore, and I will kind of see if we get to that, or at the end of the video, I will tell you why I always recommend Ubuntu. I will see if I can remember that at the end of the video or doing the video. Let's dig into this here, and if there is an advertisement and stuff like that, I will edit that out. There will be a link to his video down below. You can watch his video, subscribe to him, watch his ads. It helps him out. But yeah, let's dig into 13-minute videos that I probably can rant about for an hour. Well, it's Nick. I will full screen Nick. Hey Nick, you are now full screened. Hello. I like this dude. But yeah, let's see what he has to say here.
2006. Without it, no way this channel exists. No way I'm ever interested in Linux at all, and no way I have any computer interest at all, apart maybe from gaming on it. Still, the Ubuntu of today isn't the Ubuntu of old, and it's...
Again, pausing a lot here. I have a video about that. If Ubuntu don't evolve, it will be irrelevant. And also, Ubuntu have to kind of keep the lights on. That's why they are not as focused on the desktop as they was in the early days. In the early days, they kind of want to be Apple. Nowadays, they want to be Microsoft. Meaning that they want to take over the server market. Or they want to be Red Hat. Back then, they wanted to be Apple. There's no money in it. They need to keep their lights on. That's why they do it. If his channel has not evolved from the first video that he made, he would not have been where he is today.
It's evolved into something that I just can't recommend to beginners anymore. Let's see why. Why you shouldn't use anything else than today's sponsor as your...
Yeah, sponsor, app, sponsor. Let's see if we can get away from this.
Okay, the Ubuntu of old. It was glorious back then. It
was not.
Single-handedly turned the Linux desktop from something that was only usable by really knowledgeable people into something that was really accessible to the masses, even then. Ubuntu worked hand in hand with GNOME to push that desktop forward.
They still do that. Every time there's an Ubuntu release, they have meetings with the GNOME developers. Nothing has changed. Ubuntu back in the day was not that fucking great. Honestly, it was not. I've been using Linux for 24 fucking years. Plus, okay? I've been using Ubuntu since day one. Ubuntu is way fucking better today than it was back then. One thing Ubuntu did that no other did. They provided free CDs to people. You just, said, I want a fucking, I want an Ubuntu disk. They send them out to you. They they make, what are they called? Ubuntu logs or local user groups logs or something like that. They did a lot of marketing to advance the Linux. Yes, they built, hardware detection tools and stuff like that. But what made Ubuntu popular was that they made Linux accessible to the masses by supporting a lot of projects, by giving away free DVD, CDs, call it what you will. Esting has a great story about how he used to do that with Ubuntu. I wish he would make a video about it. So if you're watching this, Esting, please make a video about how you utilize the free DVD service or CD service that Ubuntu provided. That was why they built the user base, because they were out there promoting Linux, where Red Hat and any other distribution didn't do anything like that. But Ubuntu was not really great until, let's say 2008, 9, 10-ish. And they are still working as closely with the GNOME developers as they did back then.
Forwards, add configuration utilities, fix thousands of small usability issues.
They
allow
still
users
do it.
to have a nice looking graphical app store instead of a package manager. Sorry Synaptic, you were cool, but you're still ugly and unfriendly to this day. Without all the work Ubuntu did back in the day, up until Unity was dropped, I don't think the Linux desktop would be as usable as it is today. Ubuntu really put the focus on UX, usability, graphical utilities, and I have a feeling that GNOME's current focus on UX wouldn't be a thing without Ubuntu. Now some people will probably hold that against Ubuntu. When GNOME moved to GNOME 3, Ubuntu decided to go their own way with Unity. And while the first versions weren't amazing in terms of performance and stability, by the end of that desktop, it was probably one of the best options for a fully polished shell on Linux.
I will agree with that. I hated Unity in the beginning, but and this is the thing. 2 or 3 releases before they actually dropped Unity, the community kind of fucking liked Unity. A lot of us that were skeptical in the beginning liked Unity when they have ironed out all the inconveniences, the bugs and stuff like that. It was actually a really great system. But here's the thing. Unity was based on GNOME, so they still work with the GNOME developers to make Unity. So they still submitted all of the things it talks about, user experience patches and performances patches and code patches to the GNOME community. Unity is not built from scratch by itself. It's built on top of a lot of GNOME technologies. Look at the... Well, I still think Bocce still is. And Cinnamon used to be built on top of GNOME. It's its own thing now. But they still... back then, even though we used Unity, look at Unity as... It's basically what... The GNOME desktop on Ubuntu is today. They just called it Unity back then. It was GNOME with a shit ton of extensions on it. That was what it was. So yeah, they still work closely with the GNOME developers back then, and they still do it to this day.
Even their failed projects showed that they had an eye on the user experience, on the convergence of devices, on gaming, on offering an integrated ecosystem. You had Ubuntu.
Again, like I say, they tried to be Apple, it didn't work, so they had to go the corporate way.
One, the Ubuntu Music Store, the Ubuntu Edge phone, Ubuntu Touch. All of that pointed towards a real will to be as user-friendly as possible.
No, they wanted to build an ecosystem a la Apple because they saw there was a shit ton of money in it, and it could be a good way to do that with Linux. And yes, of course, they were thinking about the user experience and stuff like that, but don't fool yourself. They did not build or wanted to build an in-house ecosystem to make it easier for you. Maybe some of the reasons why, but trust me, they did it to make a fucking shit ton of money, okay? They wanted to make a lot of money, and the more they control, the easier it is for them to make money. Why do you think Apple is so successful on the phone market? Or with their iPhone and their tablets and stuff like that? They control every fucking thing. Look at it this way. If there is money being changed hands in the Apple ecosystem, Apple has some finger or hand in that in some way or another. They are profiting from that. That's what they want with that shit. Yes, it gives us a lot of crazy, amazing, fun things to play with. But if they can build an ecosystem that Apple have, and they can have a finger in with everything going on there, it can be transaction, it can be communication, it can even be selling data. They can make a shit ton of money. Companies will never be your friend because you are their customer or their product.
Possible. And then the Fire Nation attacked. Or maybe it was the Shareholders Nation. After the failure of the Ubuntu Edge phone, if you can call collecting $11 million in pledges a failure, after that failure, it seemed like Ubuntu just gave up.
No, like I said before, they didn't. They didn't give up. They need to keep the lights on.
In short succession, they dropped Unity, version 7 for the desktop, and version 8, which was meant to be the successor, that brought convergence between device types. They dropped Mir, their display server that was meant to replace X.org. And
Mir is still around. I am sure Mir is still around.
Be an alternative to Wayland. And they basically settled for GNOME 3 plus 2 extensions. A dock.
Again, that was what Unity was. It was just more extensions.
And notification icons. And yeah, there's also a theme. The visionary for the Linux desktop basically decided that it had sunk enough money trying to make that thing happen, and that they would just coast on whatever was being developed.
No, there was no financial benefit to it. Honestly, I think that's the biggest fucking thing that he's missing here. If they could have made money doing it, if it made financial sense. Here's the thing. I don't quote me on this, but I think Ubuntu only made a small profit or barely a profit or no non-profit at all in this time period. When they changed focus to what they are doing now, they started to actually be able to make a profit. Will you put more money into something that's draining the company's funds just so you and I can have a Ubuntu phone? If it don't work for them, at some point they have to pull the plug. So if what they do don't pay the bill, so to speak, and pay the employers, they kind of have to change direction. I know it's shitty and it sucks, but that's life.
The money is in the server and IoT space, not on the desktop, so why bother? It might just be me, but it felt like a betrayal.
No, it's not. It's not a betrayal. It's not a fucking betrayal. I know I'm stopping a lot here, but this is why you should not get emotional attached to a fucking operating system. If Ubuntu goes away tomorrow, there's plenty of other distributions. Don't be attached to Ubuntu. If Linux goes away tomorrow, we have FreeBSD, we have Haiku. It don't fucking matter if Linux or Ubuntu or whatever is here tomorrow or not. If you get emotional attached like that to an operating system, I'm a little bit afraid of your fucking mind, okay? Like, are you humping like teddy bears at night or something like that? It's a fucking tool. It's like me getting attached to my phone or my watch here, or my charger to my watch. It's a tool to do a thing. That's all it fucking is. It's not a betrayal. Without Ubuntu or Canonical, a lot of development and a lot of R&D in the Linux world will go away. If you're using any Linux distribution, you are benefiting for something Ubuntu Canonical have done for Linux today. Think about that. So don't shoot the hand that feeds you.
The company, the distribution that made the Linux desktop viable, decided that it wasn't viable in the end, and that they would just have that desktop distro to keep a presence in the consumer and enthusiast space.
It's not. The Linux desktop is not a viable platform or business then and today. You can't sustain a company like Canonical just doing desktop. If you are a small team, let's say Mint, Pantheon, also not Pantheon, Element Savvy OS and stuff like that, yeah, you can probably do it because they're not a lot of people. So what they did benefit you today, or else we will not have Canonical today. You will not have the massive amount of work they do with the GNOME developers today if they didn't change direction.
How dare they prioritize money in the open source fields, those monsters! Jokes aside.
No, he's not joking, he's actually seriously, he's just hiding behind sarcasm.
This betrayal is not enough to make me not want to recommend Ubuntu anymore. Lacking ambition or lacking a vision doesn't mean that you're not usable or you're not a good choice. After all, Ubuntu still has one of the biggest communities. It's one of the most established brands and names in the desktop space.
And for that reason, is the biggest reason you should still recommend them.
It still has regular updates. You can still find PPAs or deb packages for...
That's a fucking... Every fucking distribution that's actually developed still gets updated. That's fucking hell, man. Did he drop something about the... What?
Everything. And its implementation of GNOME is usable. So why not recommend this distro anymore?
Ads incoming.
Well, Ubuntu has a desktop problem. Since it basically abandoned the leadership of the desktop to the community, it also doesn't seem to anticipate things very much. Which means that the extensions they apply to GNOME pull them backwards. Ubuntu doesn't follow the GNOME release cycle anymore, which means that you're always at least one version behind.
Stability! They do it because of stability. GNOME has and still have a really bad reputation of not being that well built for backward compatibility. They don't mind releasing stuff that breaks once in a while. Why do you think, not Ubuntu, but why do you think Debian, for example, that's praised for its stability, is using kind of outdated software? Because they test the living fucking shit out of it. Why do you think Ubuntu is a little bit behind with the GNOME desktop? Because of stability, so you don't have to deal with being a first adopter and help basically bug fix GNOME. Like, missing a feature should not be why you don't recommend a distribution. For being running a little bit outdated software should not be a reason why not to recommend a distribution. This amazing guy used to run Element Savvy OS based on Ubuntu LTS. There was a lot of outdated software in that after a fucking year, and he still recommended it to people. It's a little bit double-sided here.
Oh no, what are we gonna do? Wait 6 months to get an update?
Yeah,
Don't laugh, it's a real problem.
No, it's not.
Waiting 6 months to get what everyone else can have sucks. But also, this is done in order to update their extension.
It fucking don't. It's just to prioritize the latest and greatest and new shiny things or stability. rolling releases a la Arch, Tumbleweed, and stuff like that have kind of a reputation of breaking sometimes. Not that big of a problem, but they sometimes, some software don't really act that well. Or there is a little bug here and there, or there's something that needs to be fixed. Why do you think that is? It's because it's not being tested before it's being, or not well tested enough before it comes out to you and me. Most of the time it works fine. But once in a while you will have this weird situation where you have to hold the package back, or you have to go in and fiddle with a configuration file and shit like that. I'd rather be 6 months behind. I'd rather be a year behind if I can still use my hardware and the software that I'm using is more stable. If they see the GNOME developers doing something with a GNOME release and it's like a little bit, they're like, there's a lot of companies, there's a lot of businesses using our distribution, so let's err on the caution side. That should be a reason why you should recommend it. They care about your fucking experience.
Extensions and make sure their desktop still works. But it has unintended problems. First, they still ship updated versions of some applications, but not of all apps. You'll get Nautilus version 42 in the next release of Ubuntu, but you won't get GNOME 42 with the vast number of improvements it comes with. You'll get GNOME 41, released 6 months ago. What's the issue with that? Well, you get a mishmash, a Frankenbuntu system of applications and libraries made for one version or another, and it just can't be as stable as something that just used the whole release as a complete system.
Oh, his autofocus is out of whack there. I will disagree. Why do you think they do it? It's probably because there's some stability problems with the new versions of GNOME. Like a lot of distribution makers do this. Again, Debian Stable do that also. Just because you mismatch it, this is like a really biased, like he's massively biased here. I don't know why he don't like Ubuntu anymore. I honestly, I think he had a problem with Ubuntu, and he's like, fuck this, I don't want to deal with that. And then he went to another distribution, had no problem with it, and he just got blue balled basically.
Ubuntu also has fixed repo versions for apps, desktop environments, and libraries. Only security fixes come through, apart from a few apps like web browsers. This means that this Frankenbuntu is locked in place.
That's how a static release works. Oh my god. That's the whole nature of Ubuntu. That's how it has worked since day one. That was how it was back in the day. That's what a static release is. You freeze your packages, and then you only provide security and bug fixes until a new release, and then you jump with new features. Where a rolling release, you're getting everything, bug fixes, security, and new features all the time when it comes out from the developers. But that also means that they are potentially less stable because they don't have the time to test them and stuff like that. Why do Ubuntu do it this way? Again, stability. They do it because of stability. Yes, some people may have stability problems. I get that. But the idea is it's more stable for the end user.
If you use 22.04 LTS, you're never getting the full GNOME 42 in your repos.
That's because do Linux users not understand what the LTS version is? The LTS version is it's not meant for us. The LTS version is a corporate version of Ubuntu. It's long-term release. It's meant for systems where they don't want or need or don't want to deal with upgrading every 6 months. So businesses, servers, corporations, where every time you have to do a massive upgrade, it's actually a fucking hassle. Those people should use LTS. And I will die on a hill on this. Every fucking Linux users out there that are not using Linux for a development server system that are running Ubuntu should always stay with the latest release of Ubuntu. The LTS version is only if you are really, really depending on stability. It's not meant for gamers. It's not meant for media creators, content creators, hobbyists. The LTS version is not a hobbyist version of Ubuntu. That's all the intermediate releases. The LTS version, why it's called the long-term release version, is meant for the corporate world. Because they don't want to do an upgrade every 6 months. they probably don't really like doing it every 2 years either, because it means can mean downtime.
If you want GNOME 42, you'll have to move to 22.10, which won't be an LTS, and will release when GNOME 43 is out. And also you'll get a Frankenstein monster of GNOME 42 and 43. Basically, Ubuntu is not a current distro. It's a distro that ships something that's been released 6 months ago.
Just like almost every fucking static release distribution. Leap, Mint, Pantheon, Farron OS, Slackware, Debian Stable. Basically any distribution that's not a rolling release. Or semi-rolling like Fedora, which I think is his main distribution right now.
Some people might not be bothered by that, but a lot will be.
No.
Especially since a lot of users are now used to get regular updates on their phones. Even when their OS doesn't get any system updates anymore, they still get app updates.
How the It's not a phone! It's not a fucking phone! It's not a fucking phone! It's not a phone! Why do Apple don't have that problem then? The way that... This is Android, this is not Linux or Ubuntu, okay? This is a fucking phone. Apple users use iOS and they get rolling software updates for their software via the App Store, just like we do on the Android. Sometimes they can be behind on the desktop version. Why is that a problem now? It's not a fucking phone. I don't expect to get the latest Snapchat on my fucking Ubuntu install. It's probably not even a fucking app. How many of you guys probably ask your friends that use a computer how often they check the fucking version number on their software? Go ask all your Windows users, your Mac users, your everyday fucking Linux user. How many of them are sitting and check, oh my god, I have to see what version, a new version came out. I have to see if I have the latest version. How many people do that? They just care about it fucking working. Again, you may be in a situation where you need that feature for work or something like that. I get that. But most people honestly don't fucking care. This sounds a lot like a him problem and not an Ubuntu problem.
And Ubuntu also has an apps problem. Ubuntu pushes Snaps, their own containerized solution that was initially designed to create Ubuntu phone apps through so-called click packages.
And
these guys really like their finger-related sounds, or maybe they just hope that things would click or snap into place. But whatever the reasoning for this name, they have been contorted. This packaging format has been contorted to work on the desktop. The team that is developing them is focused on IoT and server, not desktop. And in these fields, snaps are great. My own Nextcloud server is a snap. I installed it in one command line and it's been running ever since, getting auto updates, and it never crashed or failed.
I like Snapchat. I like snap packages.
On the desktop though, snaps have issues. A lot of issues. These issues were shared in the past by other similar formats like Flatpak or app images. But nowadays, Snap is really late to the party. It doesn't support dark mode integration. It doesn't integrate with themes. It doesn't offer a way to solve these issues, contrary to Flatpak and the Flatseal app, for example. It doesn't use the new portal system to enhance security and sandboxing. And more importantly, it's a packaging format that's increasingly being left out by other distros. It's virtually only there by default on Manjaro and Ubuntu. Even Ubuntu-based distros remove Snap from the base package. Like,
none of the things he said here has anything to do with Snaps as actually working. He could say the same thing. I think flat packages do theme a little bit better than snap packages, but flat packages is just as insecure and are not sandboxing as you think they are sandboxing. There are so many videos out there debugging that snap packages and flat packages are actually sandboxing, because they are not. The second they can get access to your system, it's not a sandbox anymore. And almost every snap package and every flat package need to have access to your file system at some point, either to use your webcam or to transfer a file or something like that. Now it's not a sandbox anymore. His stick up his ass about snap packages is that he can't theme them, so therefore they are bad, and therefore they are not the best fucking universal package format out there because I can't theme them, bro. I get it. I'm one of those people. I like theming my shit. I understand why it's a fucking problem. But as a technology, you should not hold that against snap packages. It is a problem, but it's not a stability problem, it's not a security problem. Ubuntu is the only one, and a couple of other distributions that are defaulting snap packages. He tends to forget to tell you that snap packages is the biggest first-party supported universal package format out there. What I mean by that is that Microsoft support them. They don't support flat packages. Spotify support them. They don't support flat packages. Officially. When I say that, it means that the official Spotify developers are making a snap package. The Microsoft developers are making a snap packages. And I think the same with Discord. I don't know if they also are making a flat pack version, but I know that the official Discord development team is making their own snap packs. What that means is that snap packages is by far the biggest when it comes to official third-party support, meaning that the official developers of big fucking software companies are making snap packages. Then the community is making, flat pack versions, and no problem with that. Just the fact that they are used under Ubuntu make it by default the most used universal package format out there, because Ubuntu is the most used distribution. That means a fucking lot. Okay? That validates snap packages way more than flat packages. I will probably prefer a flat package myself, but I will rather use snap packages for, let's say, Spotify, for the fact that I know that snap package is coming from Spotify themselves. So it means a fucking lot that companies, big, massive companies, are behind snap packages and not flat packages. Means a fucking lot.
Like Linux Mint or Elementary OS. And since I have way too much empathy and I see that no one wants these snaps, now I want to adopt them all. Anyway, Ubuntu has an app problem.
No, they don't.
Because it used fixed repos, without feature updates, it needs a way to bring application updates to the desktop. And this way is supposedly Snaps. The issue is, the Snap Store doesn't seem to have as many desktop apps as FlatHub. And Snap as a solution is getting increasingly outdated, slow to launch, and less well integrated than Flatpak. It's also being aggressively...
Okay, I will say slow to launch and the integration I can agree with. As far as I know, it's something they are working on. But again, I do agree with that. It's a problem.
Pushed to Ubuntu users, and this impacts downstream distros. For example, Canonical decided to only ship Chromium as a snap, which meant that other distros like Linux Mint had to take on the burden of packaging and maintaining it themselves if they didn't want to adopt the Snap version. Basically, Ubuntu seems to be betting on the wrong horse in the future of Linux app distribution race.
Well, again, it's because they made it. Okay, they put a lot of money in it. Why the fuck should they bet on Flatpak? It's like, yeah, we made this amazing technology in-house. That's just... yeah, let's not focus on that. Let's focus on that the competition over there is making. Because don't fool yourself. Every Linux distribution is competing with other Linux distributions for users. They are not friends. It's like small companies competing with each other for a piece of the cake, and this piece is users and potential revenue. So if they made a universal package format, it makes sense that they fucking support it. And if you don't like it, Mr. Face, go use something else. If he used this, and he will, I guess, for people not recommending Ubuntu, that means that his choice... he's not... this is a problem I have with a lot of these fucking technical people that are not tech professionals, is that he has a preference. So that preference has to be recommended to everyone else. He likes Nike, so Nike is the one he recommends to everyone else. He's not looking as objectively as he can and saying, what is the most supported distribution in the world? Ubuntu. What has the most software made for it by third-party developers by default? Ubuntu. Which has the biggest universal package format support system? Ubuntu. Who is having the best support system and the biggest support system in the world for Linux users? Ubuntu. What distribution are there being written and articles and help articles and making videos and help videos about? Ubuntu. All of that should tell you what you should recommend for new users. Ubuntu. But because he don't like it, he will not recommend it. That's really egotistical. That his life situation, he's now saying it fits with everyone else. He's saying that what he does with a computer will fit me. I've ran Fedora, Arch Linux, all the fucking Linux distributions that you can dream of over my 24 years here. I can happily run Pop OS, I can happily run Debian Stable, I can happily run almost any Linux distribution I want. And I switch once in a while between them just for the fun of it. I don't particularly myself like Ubuntu that much. I'm more an OpenSUSE, Arch Linux. When I say OpenSUSE, I mean Tumbleweed, Arch Manjaro kind of guy, maybe Pop OS. I'm not that big of an Ubuntu guy. But for all of the things I just mentioned, I will never recommend any of those to anyone else, because, especially newcomers, because the second you start to want help with Linux, and new users need help with Linux, just like new users to macOS need help with macOS, when you search help within Google, how do I set up Wi-Fi in Linux? Ubuntu is the first one that comes up. Most articles written about how to, let's say, set up Wi-Fi is made with Ubuntu in mind. So that means that it's easier for the new user to find help. Imagine you are on, let's say, Manjaro or Fedora, and you search how to set up or install Wi-Fi driver under Linux. You get a sudo apt install Wi-Fi blah blah blah, and you copy-paste that into Fedora, and it's not working. What the fuck is wrong here? Ubuntu is Linux is the biggest fucking piece of shit in the world. Not even the fucking community can make guides that works. Because they think that every distribution is the same. So he's taking away a support system because of his own preferences. And that's doing potential new users that he talks to a massive disservice. And it also makes him more of a support guy, because they tried the internet, it didn't work. Who are they calling? They're calling Batman over here or Batman over there. Well, I can't get this to work, and I tried, searching online. What did you search? I searched blah blah blah, and I got this command. Yeah, well, you do know you're running Fedora or Arch or whatever, so that command don't work. I thought everything was the same.
Every other distro that's relevant for beginners has adopted Flatpak. Linux Mint, Elementary OS, Zorin OS, Manjaro all have Flatpak by default.
And that is because they don't like the proprietary aspect of snap packages. It's a philosophical reason. It's not a technical reason. Be aware of that. They do it because of a philosophy, not because of a technical reason.
There's also the Steam Deck that only runs Flatpak apps on its desktop mode.
Who cares? Who fucking cares? How many people are going to run Steam Deck in desktop mode? Steam Deck is a fucking shitter gaming console. It's a gaming console you take with you on the fucking throne when you're taking a massive dump, okay? Or you're sitting in a fucking commute on the way to work or school and stuff like that. Most people will never use the desktop mode of the Steam Deck. Again, he can't seem to get out of his mind that he is not the average user. The average user will not use Steam Deck in desktop mode. They will use it as they use a Nintendo Switch. They would use it how they game on a fucking phone.
This means that publishers will increasingly adopt Flatpak and
they won't
leave snaps behind.
Who's saying that? What's the evidence of that? Is Spotify going to abandon snap packs because Steam Deck is here? It's speculations out of the fucking ass, man. Come on, like these kind of fucking things irritates the living shit out of me. I know that he's excited about the Steam Deck. We don't know what it will bring to the future. And until we know that, he can't say that. He cannot say with a certainty that everyone will now use the Steam Deck as a fucking desktop now. And everyone will go and support Flatpaks. My prediction is, like I said, is that nobody will really use Steam Deck on the desktop. So therefore, Flatpak, Snappaks, it don't fucking matter.
Which means less apps on Snap, and so less apps for Ubuntu in general. Now, Ubuntu is still very easy to use, but its crown in terms of the easiest distro for beginners is long gone. Nowadays, plenty of options are better than Ubuntu for complete Linux beginners.
Again, easiness is not the most important thing when you go into Linux. It's help. Like I said, at some point you are going to need help with Linux. How easy is it to find help and get help? That is why Ubuntu is king. It may not be the easiest, but here's the thing. It's not much more difficult to run Ubuntu than to run Mint, Pantheon or Elementary OS or any other Linux distribution. Let's say on a scale, Elementary OS Linux Mint is a 9, Ubuntu is an 8. So really, if let's say Pantheon under Elementary OS is a 9, well, Slackware, Linux from scratch, Gentoo will probably be a 2 or 3. Now we are talking, okay? If you're going from 9 to 8.
Linux Mint has a relentless drive to keep working on what made Ubuntu great in the first place. Everything must have a graphical...
Again, no. Linux Mint was made because they want easier multimedia and support and things like that, because Ubuntu could not ship it because of licensing reasons, but Mint could because they were based in Ireland, I think it is, where those laws is not... either it was Ireland or France, I can't remember, but they could do it. It was legal there. They wanted a ready-to-go distribution. You installed it and you had everything set up, ready to go. Then they did the Cinnamon desktop. Not because of Ubuntu, but because of GNOME. They did not like the direction that GNOME 3 took. So they did Cinnamon. If you've been using Linux in the time he's been using Linux, this is a massive misdirection, if you ask me. Know your facts.
User interface to configure it. Zorin OS does as well, even though its GNOME implementation is also a Franken-Ubuntu or a Franken-Zorin. These
So, are you not recommending Zorin then?
two options alone are, in my opinion, much better for beginners than...
Okay, so you can't use the Frankenstein fucking argument against Ubuntu if you're not using it against Zorin then. And they are just as easy to use.
Ubuntu. They have more quality of life features like built-in accent colors, more configuration tools, and they support more software. Plus, all the software...
Nobody support more software than fucking Ubuntu. If you take all the PPAs, the Flatpaks, the Snappaks, the app images, and like I said, Vivaldi, Chrome, Spotify, Visual Studio Code, I could mention plenty of fucking software companies that makes both deb files, RPM files, and snap files. Means that you can there are two ways you can run it under Ubuntu and only one, or well, two ways you can run it under RPM distributions. Mind blown. Mind fucking blown. Like, yes, it don't have all the software in one repository, like the AUR, for example. Here's the thing. If you are a power user with Linux, getting the software you want on any distribution you're running should not be a problem. I'm going to be an elitist motherfucking idiot right now. If you think you know Linux, it should not be a problem to get any software you want on any distribution you're running. You either convert a package or you download the fucking tar file and you compile it from scratch. If you don't know how to do that, you are not a fucking power user within Linux. What he's talking about, why Zorin is better than Ubuntu, I'm getting fucking angry right now. I can change the accent colors. Who fucking cares? How is that a technical reason? Yeah, it's a flashy thing, it looks pretty, but it's not a technical reason. It's not like Zorin is going to run better because I can change the accent color. It's not making my system more secure and more stable because I can change the fucking accent color. I used to love this guy.
Were made for Ubuntu. Other options are catching up as well, even though they still have issues that prevent them from being as user-friendly as Ubuntu yet. Elementary OS has a laser focus on usability, ease of use, and having the most polished experience. Only the lack of software by default.
It's also a Frankenstein fucking distribution. It's also running on the LTS, meaning that you potentially have outdated fucking software and what have you not. It has exactly the same fucking drawpoints that Ubuntu have, other than having a little bit better user interface for, let's say, Mac users when they're coming over to Linux. And it looks more pretty and you have more customizable features in form of eye candy. I am apparently is living in a world that don't exist. I thought that quality of code, stability of software, bug fixes, security fixes made a system great, but apparently it's how pretty is it? He wants a model with no brain. He can't settle with a normally looking girl with a massive, amazing personality and great brain he can actually have a conversation with, because she's not pretty enough. So therefore she's not smart enough. She's not usable enough. All of these points here,
fault in the App Center holds them back. Fedora has a super smooth GNOME desktop, it's updated fast and constantly, it leverages Flatpak to distribute applications, and only its outdated and infuriating installer holds it back. Other beginner-friendly distros are circling, and Ubuntu isn't the king of the hill anymore. They're barely top 3 and they might...
It is king of the hill, they have over 40 fucking million installs. Until you can prove to me that some other distribution have more installs than fucking Ubuntu, it's still king of the hill. You may not like it, I may not like it, it's still fucking king of the hill. Do people fucking believe this shit? Like,
drop out of the top 5 in a few years.
No,
they're basically just coasting on the brand name at that point.
No, they are not.
Still, Ubuntu isn't bad. It's still a good distribution for beginners. It has one of the most abundant online documentation. Every tutorial has instructions for Ubuntu. It has huge help forums, and it's also generally one of the main officially supported distros for commercial software. Its GNOME implementation works, even though it's not up to date. It has access to plenty of software if you don't care about feature updates, and snaps, while inferior to alternatives in my opinion, are still serviceable if you can swallow the long start time.
Where's the problem? What the fuck? Where's the fucking problem then? Is it just because you can't change exit colors, my friend? Okay, she did get her fucking hair extensions in last week. Okay, she didn't polish her nails. It's... Yes, you are maybe 6 months behind on being able to use your 3 fingers fucking autistic gestures. He just sold Linux to everyone. He just made my point why you should recommend Ubuntu. But hey, you can't change exit colors. Like, what's fucking going on here? Like, what the fuck?
Ubuntu is perfectly usable by beginners. It's a good distribution. But it's also no longer the best choice for beginners, in my opinion. When people used to ask me...
And here's the thing. Your opinion means nothing. My opinion means nothing. Nobody's opinions is worth anything. If we should talk credentials, let me go on my egotistical hill here a little bit. If you should listen to opinions, should you listen to someone that has more views on a Linux channel? Or should you listen to someone that has been using Linux for almost 5 plus years? That has been using almost any Linux distribution made. That has been entrenched in the Linux community for that long. Who do you think probably have seen more in Linux than he has ever done? So, if we should talk credentials, like if we are making a CV right now, my CV is probably bigger and more in depth than his is. He's just a more popular Linux YouTuber. Means that he's really great at making entertaining videos. That don't mean that he's that you should listen to his opinion. Who would you listen to? Someone that has more views, or someone that has worked with the fucking things that he's talking about for 24 plus years? When not professional work, but been in the community, been around, been using Linux non-stop for that amount of years. Who would you probably listen to the most? I will go with experience over who makes the best videos. Again, being a little bit fucking self-centered here and egotistical, but sometimes we have to fucking do it.
Me, what distro should I use? I'm starting with Linux. It was Ubuntu, no questions asked. Nothing touched it. Nothing came close.
It still is.
Nowadays, I just don't recommend Ubuntu anymore, because there are other alternatives that can serve everybody's use case with less issues or with better tools. So thank you for your...
So yeah, there are better distributions out there, but like I said, he's missing the fucking point. It's not about what is the best system, like what is the easiest system. Like I said, if you go from a 9 to 8, don't really matter that much. It's, can you do... Like he just said here in his section here, Ubuntu is still good. All of these things he's just said here, Ubuntu can't be beat on them. Biggest software repository, or big, not software repositories, but you have the most available software in some form or another with Ubuntu. with PPAs and all of that fucking shit. You have everyone is talking about Ubuntu. Like I said, communities, forums, help posts. It's the most documented system, like he said. It's the most used system with over 40 million fucking installs. I could go on and on and on. That makes it why you should recommend it. Because that means that people running Ubuntu, they can get what they want and they can get help better than anywhere else. Because they can use Google, they can go on to random Linux forums. Even if you go into fucking arts, there are probably someone in there know about Ubuntu. If you go on to Mint, or you go on to Panthy or Elementary OS, or if you go on to Linux from scratch, or Sorian, or Solus, there are someone in there that can help you with Linux. If you're running Fedora, maybe. If you're running Arch, maybe. If you're running any other distribution, it can be a little bit difficult to get help, support, guides. And that's why you should recommend Ubuntu. Not because it's the easiest or have the best tools.
Your service, Ubuntu. You'll always have a place in my heart.
No, they
But
won't.
nostalgia doesn't help beginners. But what will help newcomers though is buying a device with Linux pre-installed on it. And on that front, Slimbook got you covered. They're based
Fucking
in
hell,
Valencia,
another
Spain,
ad?
and they make Linux laptops and desktops. They ship. So thank you everyone for...
Support it. Okay, so we have fucking a 13 minutes video here that I made over an hour fucking ranting about. And he has like... I will guess at least fucking 2 minutes of it is ads. I'm going on a sidetrack here and I will give my opinions to the last here. Pro, it's too much, okay? It's fucking too much. Not even fucking Linus Tech Tip have that fucking many. It looks like he's kissing me right now. I can't be mad at him with that fucking face. It's too much, man. It's fucking too much. I know you need to make some money and stuff like that, but it's fucking too much. I haven't watched his content the last couple of months, and this is one of the reasons why. It's too much of a fanboy, circle-jerking mentality, and it's one ad after another. I can see he has a Steam Deck over there in the corner. Nice product placement, by the way. He's becoming Linus Tech Tips. Ads. I think I have made my viewpoint clear why you should recommend Ubuntu. And I think the conclusion is that he don't like Ubuntu because it don't have the latest and greatest features. Meaning it don't have the latest and greatest...
watching.
There, I can't have his fucking kissing at me. It's fucking creeping me out. It don't have the latest and greatest playing. Again, the Millennium condition. I want everything and I want it now. And I want the latest and greatest now. None of the points that he made for not recommending Ubuntu, I don't see as a problem. There are reasons why beside the snap pack thing, I don't really like the snap pack thing. But everything else, the tools, they are plenty good. They are massively great, the tools. Ubuntu still, to this day, talk to the fucking GNOME Council or fucking GNOME team every time they do a new release and up to it. And they work with GNOME all the fucking time. They do exactly the same things as they did back in the day. They are just not as vocal with it, and they don't give you a flashy phone or TV or music store that you can play with. He wants toys. He's a kid that wants toys, okay? And if Ubuntu's not giving him toys to play with, it's a bad distribution. See you all later. Bye-bye.